All right, enough already. I got it. Let me just summarize quickly. Save America, spend less, tax less, regulate less, inflate less, and restore free market capitalism. That's my wish. Just a wish. That's my riff. Now, joining me, someone that knows a thing or two about all this and more, Senator John Hoeven from the great state of North Dakota. Senator Hoeven, I don't know what the press secretary is saying, or even what the president is saying. The deficit reduction last year was because the COVID emergency ran out. But basically, the CBO is saying, even if the White House won't, the CBO is saying spending and deficits and borrowing go up every year for the next 10 years by a lot. So how does Biden think he's going to get away with all this?
Well, Larry, good to be with you, but that's exactly what you heard at the State of the Union. He's doubling down. More spending, higher taxes, and that's exactly what you see, and you're going to see it in the budget. And that's what we've said, is that we have to get away from that. We've got to reduce spending, and, you know, raising taxes is just going to hurt the economy further. And he's wrong when he talks about the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. We actually now are getting more revenue from a bigger economy, $4.4 trillion a year. Back in 2017, it was $3.3 trillion. That's $1 trillion more in revenue. It's not the revenue that's the problem, or that more taxing is not the solution. It's spending. And you saw that with the American Recovery Plan the Democrats put through, $2 trillion. You saw that with the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, $750 billion. You're seeing that with what Biden's trying to do, or is doing, on student loans. He keeps increasing spending. That's the problem, and that's what we've got to put a stop to.
I mean, you see, the CBO report yesterday, look, nobody lives and dies with the CBO, but they're pretty good on targeting spending. That report is the first time that we've really accounted for all these spending bills. That's the first report they put out, as you know, since May of 2022, last May. All right, that's a long time. It's almost a year. So now we account for all these spending bills, and oh my goodness, spending stays at 25% of GDP. Deficits go up by $20 trillion, and borrowing is now going to be about 120% of GDP. This is the first accounting for it. Now, does the president think we're all deaf and dumb?
Well, he's doing exactly what you said. He's taking the COVID spending, the emergency spending, and as that rolls off, he's saying, he's taking credit for deficit reduction. That's ridiculous, because he's increasing spending to replace it. So he continues with those deficits because he continues to increase spending. We've got to hold the line and reduce spending, then at the same time come forward with pro-growth economic policies. For example, we've talked about energy, meaning less taxes, less regulation, grow this economy. That creates more revenue. And let's talk about this for a minute, Larry. The cruelest tax of all is inflation.
Yes.
And the Biden policies are creating inflation, and that hits the lowest income people the hardest. Go to the energy policy. He's driving up energy prices, and that's driving up inflation, whether it's at the gas pump, whether it's food, whatever it is. It's the Biden policy is doing it, and that's a tax on everyone. So again, we've got to get away, and he doubled down in that approach in the State of the Union. You saw it, more of the same coming in this budget. That's the wrong direction. We've got to grow the economy, empower people, reduce regulation, grow our domestic energy, get rid of this inflation problem. Those are the things that are going to really help, hardworking Americans in terms of their pocketbook.
I mean, the president must think he can just pull the wool over everybody's eyes. But up is up, not down. So, Senator Hoeven, talking about taxing, how about this wonderful idea? There's a lot of steam now for a windfall profits tax on oil companies. You're from the great state of North Dakota, which is famed for its fracking of oil and natural gas, and they want to tax it with some bizarre redistribution scheme. What do you make of that?
Well, I would quote President Ronald Reagan, where first he said, "There you go again." And then he also said, if you want less of something, you tax it and you regulate it. So here we go again. The Biden energy plan is to increase the cost of energy because he is restricting the domestic supply. Less supply means higher prices. And as I just said, that hits, hardworking Americans, when they go to fill up their gas tank or they buy food, they really feel it. And that is brought to them by the Biden energy plan, and he wants to do more of the same.
You know, that's the stupidity of it is mind-boggling. I was reading, well, I don't like to mention names, but one of the senators from Rhode Island was going on about these greedy oil companies. So if he hadn't stopped oil and gas drilling, I mean, we're still well 1 million barrels plus below where we were pre-COVID. If he hadn't stopped that, then the prices wouldn't have gone up. And it's the prices going up because he stopped it that's caused significant profits. I mean, that's the business these companies are in. They buy and they produce, buy and sell oil. So stop blaming them. Go to the source of it. The stupidity is mind-boggling. If you want to get them down, let's get lower prices. Then let's produce more. I don't know. Does this sound? It's just to me very simple. Maybe it's too complicated. I don't know, Senator.
No, right on. It's supply and demand. He is restricting the supply, and so that's pushing up the price. And then he goes and he takes oil out of the strategic petroleum reserve to try to make up the difference. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. It is absolutely creating the problem that we have with inflation, his energy policies.
I got one more, Senator Hoeven, for you. Another brilliant idea. The EPA is going to run a $27 billion green bank, a climate bank, okay? Now, this sounds to me like something very mischievous. Handing it out to Green New Deal groups that happen to sign up for Democratic politicians or whatnot. You know where I'm going on this. This is a potential slush fund. Do we need another government bank? I mean, it's kind of like we have Fannie and Freddie for housing, and then we're going to have this green bank or climate bank. What's going to happen here? This sounds like it's got mischief and corruption written all over it.
Larry, it goes to exactly what we're talking about. It is more government spending. Okay, more government spending is creating those deficits, causing inflation, and it is, again, working against producing more energy from all sources by allowing the market to do it, producing more oil and gas, which, again, would help bring prices down. So it's just more of the same. That's what I'm saying. It's more about big government, about taxes. It's about spending, and that's what's hurting our economy, causing the inflation right now.
And I got one last one for you. Our friend David Malpass has resigned from the World Bank, and they're going to replace him with somebody who's a radical greenie. So they want to turn the World Bank into a global climate bank, okay? Ruin the credit, make terrible loans, government to government, so we basically guarantee corruption. What do you make of that? You know this is coming. They're going to put, if it's not John Kerry, it's going to be John Kerry's cousin.
It's more of this Green New Deal, and across the board. Matter of fact, as you know, we talked about. He's even now talking about for our Defense Department having them track their greenhouse gas emissions when they make a tank or an aircraft or munitions. I mean, this stuff makes no sense, but it's pervading everything this Biden administration is doing, and it's hurting the country.
A greenie tank. I love that. The thought of a greenie tank. Senator John Hoeven, I don't know. There's a lot to commiserate over, but better times are coming. Keep the faith. Better times are coming.
We got to get back to the fundamentals and make our country strong, empower our hardworking Americans.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right on. Anyway, thank you ever so much.